Chapter 9. From that time on, Christmas of 1863, the war began to get worse for the South. Soon it was clear that the South was in serious danger of losing. The Northern armies were moving deeper and deeper into the South, and soon it was clear to everyone that unless Atlanta was strongly protected, the armies would reach Atlanta and destroy it. If Atlanta was lost, the North would win the war. It was during this terrible time, the first part of 1864, that Melanie told Scarlett she was going to have Ashley's baby. When she heard this, Scarlett was angry and miserable, and more jealous of Melanie than ever before. Now, all she wanted was to return home to Tara, but it was not safe to travel. The Northern armies were inside Georgia. All Scarlett and everyone else in Atlanta could do was wait and pray that the fighting wouldn't reach Atlanta. Scarlett felt like a trapped animal in a cage, not knowing what would happen. Fortunately, a letter came from her father, Gerald. He told Scarlett that none of the Northern soldiers had reached Tara, and it was safe for that time. The hot summer of 1864 came. The Northern armies had grown stronger and stronger. Many immigrants from Europe had been hired to fight the North's war, and now they had more soldiers than the South. Soon, one of the Northern armies was near Atlanta. Scarlett and the others could hear the fighting, only 22 miles away. Thousands and thousands of wounded soldiers began to come into the Atlanta hospitals with great speed. The hospitals had very little medicine or supplies to care for them. Of course, Scarlett had to keep working at the hospital, like the other women. The smells, the germs, and the screams of the sick and dying men gave Scarlett terrible dreams. It was horrible. It was at this time that many women and children decided to leave Atlanta and go to the town of Macon, Georgia. Aunt Pittypat begged and pleaded with Melanie and Scarlett to come with her. But Melanie, who was by now very large with child, was much too weak to move. Melanie had always been thin and a little weak, and secretly Scarlett hoped that she would die during the child's birth. Then, maybe, Scarlett could be with Ashley. When Scarlett had these thoughts, she always felt terrible. She was afraid God would punish her by killing Ashley. So she tried to pray and say she was sorry. But she couldn't control her thoughts. However, no matter how much she hated Melanie, Scarlett meant to keep her promise to Ashley. As long as Ashley was out there somewhere, Scarlett would take care of his wife. Scarlett had never wanted her mother and father so much in her life. She even missed her younger sisters, Sue Ellen and Karine. She wanted to be home at Tara and see the beautiful old house and the great oak trees and hear the slaves singing in the fields. When Aunt Pittypat left for Macon, she left a little black slave named Prissy to help Scarlett with her little son, Wade, and take care of Melanie. Scarlett thought Prissy was too young to know anything about babies. But Prissy told her, "Don't you worry, Miss Scarlett. My mama made me help her with all the children. I know everything about babies." Scarlett felt relieved when she heard this. She left Wade with Prissy much of the time and hoped that when Melanie was ready to have her baby, Prissy could deliver the child. Then, one horrible night, something terrible happened. The Southern soldiers around Atlanta were not strong enough to protect the city anymore. The Northern armies had reached the edge of Atlanta, and they were burning buildings. From the front of the house, Scarlett could see the burning buildings. She had never been so afraid in her life. She knew that she, Melanie, Wade, and Prissy had to escape somehow. But how? Earlier that day, Melanie had had her baby after a long, painful labor.
Even now, she was upstairs in the bed, crying out in pain.
Scarlett was sure she was going to die because she had lost too much blood. How could Scarlett move her? As Scarlett was walking back and forth in front of the house, she saw a small carriage with a horse drive up to the house. A man jumped down. It was Rhett Butler. Scarlett hadn't seen him in weeks, and she cried out in shock and relief. Rhett would help her. He could protect them. Somehow, Rhett could find a way. Lately, the only time Scarlett had felt safe was when Rhett was near, because he was tall and strong. He was not afraid of anything or anyone.
Scarlett, you're still here. Why? Didn't you go to Macon with Aunt Pitty-Pat?
Rhett, we've got to get out of here. Help me. I have to go home. I have to see my mother. Melanie just had her baby, and I think she's going to die. What am I going to do? Scarlett screamed. Rhett's face turned white.
Scarlett, it's too late. There's nowhere you can go now. You are probably safe in the house. I don't think the Northern soldiers will burn down people's houses. Atlanta has been taken, and the South has lost the war. I have come to say goodbye to you. I am going to do something I never thought I would do. I am going to help the Southern men fight the last part of this war, even though we're beaten. Maybe I can save some of the boys' lives.
Scarlett thought she would scream again. Rhett, are you crazy? How can you do this now, of all times? You have got to help us. I want to go home. I want to go home. She burst into tears as Rhett took her in his arms. With her head on his strong shoulders, Scarlett felt a little better.
All right, Scarlett. I'll do what I can to get you to Tara. Now, get Wade and Prissy ready. I've got to see if Melanie can be moved.
Upstairs, Melanie was lying in the bed, pale and weak. Prissy was holding the tiny baby, who was healthy and screaming loudly for his mother. When Melanie saw Rhett, she only smiled, too weak to talk.
Now, Miss Melanie, don't you worry about a thing. It's a little dangerous outside, so we're going to get you out of here,
said Rhett gently as he lifted her in his arms. Scarlett grabbed little Wade, who was extremely frightened by the noises of guns and the smell of fire. As quickly as they could, Scarlett, Rhett, and Prissy put Melanie in the back of the carriage and then climbed in themselves. Prissy held the baby and little Wade, while Rhett and Scarlett sat in front. Atlanta was a city of fire and smoke. Quickly, Rhett drove the carriage onto a large road that led out of Atlanta. Everywhere Scarlett looked, there were soldiers lying dead in the streets. It was like a horrible dream. While Rhett drove the carriage, Scarlett shut her eyes and imagined that she was home at Tara, lying in bed with Ellen, and the old black housekeeper, Mammy, taking care of her. After several hours of traveling on the road, Scarlett was almost able to ignore the sounds of Wade's terrified crying and the new baby's screams. Prissy, who was still a child herself, was also frightened. Melanie was in terrible pain and seemed barely alive. Suddenly, Rhett stopped the carriage. He had spoken little on the road because he was concentrating on driving. But Scarlet had felt safe and calmer just having him near. "What's the matter, Rhett? Why are we stopping?"
Scarlet, now you're about 12 hours away from Tara. Just take this small road to our left here, and you'll be there. But if you see any soldiers, do what I say. Get off the road and hide. The men are crazy right now. They might try to steal the carriage because they think there is food inside. I'm leaving, Scarlet. Like I told you, I'm going to go and fight the last battle of the South.
Scarlet stared at Rhett. "Rhett, stop teasing. This isn't the time for it. You're not serious. Now hurry up and let's get home to Tara."
I am serious, Scarlet. I am leaving you here. You'll be all right. You're a lot stronger than you think, Scarlet. And now is the time to be strong.
Scarlet screamed and began to hit him with her fists. "You can't leave us. You don't even care about the war. And now you're leaving helpless women and children to fight a losing battle? I'll hate you for the rest of my life for this. How am I supposed to get these helpless people home in the middle of a war with fire and wild men everywhere?"
Scarlet, I can't explain this. It's just something I have to do. This is a time when people have to take care of themselves. Now, you have to take care of yourself and these other people. But first...
Here Rhett smiled at her.
Kiss me, Scarlet. I may not see you again. I might die a brave soldier's death tonight.
"What? Are you crazy, Rhett Butler?
You want me to kiss you right here in the middle of the road?"
I'll never kiss you, you bastard!" Scarlet shouted. But before she could move away, Rhett had grabbed her and was kissing her. And what a kiss! Charles had never kissed her like this. It was the kiss of a man. Even though she struggled, a part of Scarlet did not want him to stop.
Scarlet, I've waited longer for you than I have for any woman,
Rhett said, as his hands moved up and down her body. Then he turned and walked down the road. Scarlet stared after him. For once in her life she did not know what to do or say. She could not believe what had just happened. Now Rhett was leaving her to help the Southern soldiers fight, when he had never agreed with the war. Scarlet did not understand people, and so she could not see that Rhett was deeply surprised at his own actions. Well, he could go to hell for all she cared. Scarlet got into the carriage and began to drive it. The horse was frightened and would not move at first, but she hit it many times with the whip, and it began to run. The hours passed, full of fear, smoke, and fire. The baby screamed, Wade cried, and Prissy prayed. It was the most difficult night of Scarlet's young life.